Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we're going to do a comparison of two smartphones below the 15,000 price segment in India. We have the Realme 7 which has been launched recently in India for a price of 14,999. It comes with the Helio G95 octa-core processor and a quad camera setup, and we're going to compare this with one of the really popular smartphones, the Poco M2 Pro, which was launched a few months back in India for a price starting at 13,999. So these are the two devices which we are going to compare. These are devices below the 15,000 price segment. They have a lot of similarities in terms of the camera experience. Both have quad camera setup, both have 5000 mAh capacity battery, really good fast charging, Android 10 out of the box, and both have IPS LCD displays. But there are differences including the 90Hz refresh rate and the processor varies. So which of them is better? That's what we are going to analyze in this video. So if this is your first time on this channel, do hit that red subscribe button and also hit the bell icon to get notified of all the videos we publish. Now coming back to the comparison. So first step, let's have a look at the design and build quality. Now when we reviewed previous Realme devices, we have always said that Realme hasn't innovated in terms of design, but with the Realme 7 series, Realme has done a really good job in terms of design. You can see that the back panel looks really refreshing, especially the camera layout and the dual tone finishing and the gradient pattern all looks really great. Now Poco is one of those devices which is actually derived from the Redmi Note 9 Pro series, and you can see it's quite similar to the Redmi Note 9 Pro. Minor differences here. Now in terms of looks, if you look side by side, we would say that the Realme 7 looks a bit more better, especially that matte finish, and it looks really gorgeous when compared to the Poco M2 Pro. The Poco M2 Pro is also a good looking smartphone, but we feel the design could have been better. Also in terms of design, this is more of a bulky device, slightly bigger display, but it's more bulkier, and even the weight is also higher because of the glass construction, while we have a slightly lesser weight on the Realme 7. So in terms of design, the in-hand feel and overall aspects, we feel Realme 7 is the better choice in terms of the design elements. Now both the devices have side mounted fingerprint scanners. Now talking about the build quality, so this is one area where these two devices differ a lot. We have a plastic material on this Realme 7. It's a plastic polycarbonate material, but actually feels quite good. It's a matte finish. Now we have a glossy glass finished back panel on the Poco M2 Pro. Now it's a personal choice whether you like the plastic material or the glass finishing. The glass definitely feels premium, but at the same time it adds to the weight and it can break easily, but then plastic is also easily scratchable. So both have its own advantages and disadvantages. So overall in terms of design and build quality, probably our pick would be the Realme 7. Now next, let's move on to the display. So both the devices have IPS LCD panels. The differentiating aspect is the Realme 7 coming with a 90Hz refresh rate, which feels definitely better than the 60Hz on the Poco M2 Pro. So if you look at the display quality here, you can see that Realme's display is slightly more vibrant than the IPS LCD panel on the Poco M2 Pro. Both have quite good displays. Now the touch response also feels quite good, but here we feel 90Hz refresh rate and also a bit more vibrant display on the Realme 7. So again, in terms of display performance, Realme 7 has an edge, but in terms of display protection, we have a Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the Poco M2 Pro, while it's Corning Gorilla Glass 3 Plus on the Realme 7. So that's the difference between these two devices. Now next, let's move on to the software. So both the devices have Android 10 out of the box. So we have two different UIs, Realme UI version 1.0 versus the MIUI 11 for Poco. So these are the two different UIs. Now if you look at the UI aspects, you can see that both are quite similar in terms of the experience. Both offer a lot of additional options and features. So we have customization options, then additional features like second space, dual apps, and all those things are included. If you look at the settings panel as well, you can see that both offer a really good experience in terms of the options. So it's hard to decide which of them is better. Now many of you might know that Poco does not show ads, but there are people who still think that Poco or Xiaomi's MIUI has ads, but Poco devices do not come with any sort of ads. We have done a video on that. Now Realme UI is also really good in terms of clean options available. Realme does offer ads, but again they are not as intrusive as Xiaomi's ads on other Redmi smartphones. So basically we would say both the UIs are really good experience, and we can't really choose a winner here. Probably we would say it's a tie here. Now in terms of updates, both are coming up with the latest version MIUI 12 as well as Realme UI version 2.0. So that's the software aspect. Now next, moving on to the performance side. Now here there is a difference. So we have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G on the Poco M2 Pro, while we have the new Helio G95 octa-core processor on the Realme 7. Now in terms of day-to-day performance, both are equally good. Both does a really good job in terms of daily usage like social media, browsing, calls, WhatsApp, etc. We couldn't see any major difference. Both are equally responsive, does a really good job. Even multitasking was quite good, even though Realme did have an edge in terms of multitasking. Overall performance, we would say it's more or less similar. Now when it comes to gaming, both are again good. Both does a pretty good job, but with a Helio G95 you get slightly better graphic options, especially in few games, while 720G is again a good device in terms of the overall gaming experience. So Realme 7 definitely has a slight edge in terms of gaming experience. And another important thing is that while the Realme 6 had these heating issues, Realme 7 does not have those issues. So that's another good thing Realme has fixed here. Now next, the fingerprint scanner experience. Both have side mounted fingerprint scanner. They are equally fast. Even face unlock looks pretty good here. Now next, let's move on to the camera. So we have a quad camera setup on both these devices. So we have a primary 64 megapixel camera on the Realme 7, while we have a 48 megapixel camera on the Poco M2 Pro. Now both have ultra wide angle cameras. Macro sensor is 2 megapixel on the Realme 7, while it's a 5 megapixel shooter on the Poco M2 Pro, and both have 16 megapixel selfie cameras. Now the Realme 7 has an Sony IMX682 sensor. This is a very superior sensor compared to the Samsung's GM sensor on the Poco M2 Pro. Now if you look at the camera quality, the images taken with these two devices, this is where the Poco M2 Pro actually shines. If you look at the color reproduction, that's where the Realme 7 definitely does a better job, because Realme has improved the color reproduction. But when we did the camera review, we mentioned that Realme's image processing still needs to be improved. Even with a superior sensor, the overall image clarity, especially the detailing, the sharpness levels, and overall clarity was not as good as the Poco M2 Pro. Only area where the Realme 7 has an edge is the color reproduction. The Poco M2 Pro is a bit saturated, while Realme 7 was more or less accurate in terms of colors. But if you look at the overall aspect, especially the video recording and the other aspects, the video especially was better on the Poco M2 Pro. It was kind of grainy and not that great on the Realme 7. Now even low light experience also better on the Poco M2 Pro. The Realme 7 was a bit too noisy, and also if you look at the selfie experience, probably we would say Poco M2 Pro is the overall pick here, because it offers a better overall experience than the Realme 7. The Realme 7 needs a bit more improvement. This can be fixed via software updates, because it has a really superior sensor, but even with the superior sensor, Realme is not able to get the imaging right on the Realme 7. Now finally, the battery life. So we have a 5000 mAh capacity battery on these two devices. So both are 5000 mAh, and both have really fast charging. We have 33 watt fast charger on the Realme, in fact the Poco M2 Pro, while we have a 30 watt dart charging on the Realme 7. Now both these devices charges the device, charges the 5000 mAh capacity battery in around 65 to 70 minutes. And if you look at the battery performance, again both are equally good, but Snapdragon's optimization seems to have a slight advantage for the Poco M2 Pro when compared to the Realme 7, but not by a huge margin again. Now talking about the prices, so the Poco M2 Pro is priced starting at 13,999 for the 4GB RAM. Since we are comparing the Realme 7, the 6GB RAM, if you look at the 6GB RAM variant of the Poco M2 Pro, it is offered at 14,999. That means exact same pricing. Now where does the Realme 7 have the advantage over the Poco M2 Pro? First is in terms of looks, then it's more compact device, lighter in weight, then better display, the 90Hz refresh rate, clean UI, then performance is good, gaming also it has an edge, and if you look at the battery life, also battery charging also it is pretty good. Now where does the Poco M2 Pro has an advantage? Because the build quality looks good, it's a glass finishing, then Corning Gorilla Glass is included, and the camera performance is better here. So overall, if you look at all these aspects, probably if I were to choose one of these devices, my pick would probably be the Realme 7, because it's more or less a balanced package. Especially if you look at the overall aspects, it looks like a more of a balanced package. Because except for the camera, it has almost everything you ask for. Now the Poco M2 Pro is again a really good package. If you are tight on budget, you can actually go with the 13,999 variant. There is hardly anything to complain on the M2 Pro because it's still a good package, but it does miss out on the 90Hz refresh rate. That's something which most devices are now looking at this price segment. So both are equally good, but if I were to pick one, then probably it might be the Realme 7. So that's the detailed comparison of the Realme 7 with the Poco M2 Pro. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.